Welcome folks to another Bitopex video. Today we have a lot of important news to talk about. First of all, everyone most likely heard that today, by the time this video is out, it's already going to be trading, but today we have SpaceX IPO, which is going to be by far the biggest IPO ever made. The second biggest was Ramco in 2020 or 2022, if I'm not mistaken, and this one is going to more than double what that one did in volume. SpaceX is actually raising 75 billion, and right after announcing this, there was already $70 billion worth of retail money. But right now, the numbers triple that. We're oversubscribed 4x almost. Valuation is at 95x what the company actually makes, and independently of how it goes, if it goes good or bad, this IPO puts Elon Musk as the first world trillionaire. This guy has $1 trillion in net worth, which is crazy. He now is worth more than countries together. But we also have other news to talk about. We have charts to look. So without further ado, let's jump right into it with today's video. Well, before we start looking at the charts, to end this year, we're also going to have 2 more IPOs. So if you are into this IPO era, I suggest you to look into these because we're going to have Anthropic and we're going to have OpenAI by the end of the year. So Anthropic is going to be still right now in the next quarter, if I'm not mistaken, and then the last quarter is going to be OpenAI. And this is going to be a little bit of a fight because neither Elon and Dario is the CEO of Anthropic. Neither one of them like Sam Altman, right? Elon has history with Sam Altman, but an interesting thing is that my enemy's enemy is my friend. So Elon and Dario, they partner. So Anthropic partner with SpaceX for compute. They have a compute deal, and now they're going to win this race, this IPO race, because they want to make sure OpenAI suffers the most that it can. OpenAI, as you know, is always 2 weeks from bankruptcy. So this is why they raise more money. They launch something to make more money. But for every dollar that they make from credits, token usage, whatever, for every dollar, they spend $1.20. So they're always deep, losing money. They're bleeding money, as most of these startups and tech companies do. But what Elon is trying to make is that if SpaceX IPO goes very, very well, then is retail going to have enough money, enough liquidity to go and invest into Anthropic's IPO or then into OpenAI's IPO? Well, the money will stay into SpaceX stock, right? Because it is going to be very, very profitable. This is best case scenario for Elon. Then when we go to worst case scenario for Elon, is still some blow to OpenAI, because let's say SpaceX IPO doesn't do that well. I think this week and next week is going to be very, very good. It's going to be going to $175, maybe $200 per share. But then it goes down. Let's say it goes to $100 per share, right? It goes even lower than that. What happens is now people think, well, these AI IPOs don't make sense because they're all going down. So why would I invest into OpenAI? So let's say retail loses money with stock with SpaceX IPO, and then they lose money with Anthropic IPO, and then they say, well, I'm not going to put my money into OpenAI. And OpenAI actually needs to raise that capital because they are weeks from bankruptcy, as I said before. So worst case scenario and best case scenario, they are all gonna hurt Sam Altman, and this is what Elon wants. So it is a win-win situation for Elon either way. But now, going back to crypto and going back to options, well, let's take a look at how our cryptocurrencies are looking this week. So by sharing here, let's start with Bitcoin, which is currently at $63,391. Then we have Ethereum at 1664. We have BNB above the 600 once again. Last video was below 600, which was a little bit scary. Then we have XRP at 113. We have Solana at $66. Hyperliquid is at $60. It has been climbing back up in the past 24 hours, and it was actually good for me. I traded a Hyperliquid option. I traded a Hyperliquid spread, and the one went profitable for me. Then we have Zcash at $434 and Monero right next to it at $380. So very good from Zcash and Monero, which both have been going wild in the past few days. So yeah, our currencies have been performing somewhat okay. They have been going down, but it seems, as I said, I think last video, that I believed that Ethereum was going to bottom at 1500 or around 1500. So it could be 1450, it could be 1550, but it indeed held around that 1500, which I suggested. Will it go down again? I don't know. But what I'm seeing is we are so oversold that we can either coast for a little bit, but I don't believe that we're going to be going lower than the 1500s. Same things apply to Bitcoin and Hyperliquid. But looking at Bitcoin right here, let's start for the 4 hours. We reached a bottom of 59K, so 59,100, but we didn't have enough strength to keep going up. But if you look at the daily, for example, you can see that we are super oversold. So we were oversold on Bitcoin, which reached the 15.5 on the RSI right here, and also the MACD. And look right here, we're looking at a crossing on the MACD. And if we combine these two, hopefully we have enough strength and volume, and retail also pushes with institutions to go back up towards the 70s. So of course, this is not going to be something that will happen in a day or two, but we do have signals that are showing us that, hey, we might have bottom right here. Of course, looking at this, we can still be going down right here. For some reason, we don't have the last 4 days worth of volume right here, so these candles are just empty on the daily. But on the 4 hours, we can see that we had some movement, but it was so bland that it just stayed sideways for a little bit. So what we would like to see is to have some strength right here, especially with the Bollinger being so tight. Of course, it's not as tight as on May 31st, but with the Bollinger right here, if we have some strength, we can be climbing back towards the 65K. And if we do that, it's going to be bullish. So I'm looking at this. Hopefully we have some strong signals. Otherwise, we're also going to be coasting on this one. Now for Hyperliquid was a very good trade on my end. I've been trading these spreads on Hyperliquid because Hyperliquid has a lot of volatility and it allows me to get more premium for my trades, right? So I can go cheap, I can go further out of the money and still get some good premium because volatility is twice, sometimes even 3 times what Ethereum's volatility is. So what I did right here, I sold a 52 spread. So it was a 52.50 spread, meaning that if by expiration Hyperliquid stayed above 52, I'm going to collect the full premium, and that's what ended up happening. I even said that on the live stream on Wednesday, which, by the way, if you don't watch live streams, I do live streams on my X account. And on that, I told you that Hyperliquid could go below the 50s, but most likely it was going to go up because it was on the 4 hours, it was oversold already. It was getting closer to oversold right here. Got to 32. So I was like, well, if it goes below the 30, it's going to be oversold and most likely it's going to recover above that. And we actually got almost at the 52, but we bounced back and we closed this morning at 57 something. So I got a full premium out of it, which is fantastic. Now, looking at the fear and greed index, we're now at 12. Of course, retailers, they get super scared, then they get okay, then they're scared again, they get greedy, and this is how it goes. Retailers are like the easiest guys to manipulate ever. So looking at this right now, we did reach 9 on Wednesday. Crazy, by the way, reaching 9, which is very bad if you compare that to what we saw on October 10th. And then on COVID, these numbers are crazy because during COVID and during October 10th, liquidations were way bigger. And now because people are just scared, too much has been going on in crypto for a long time. People are just sick of it. It seems like retailers are like scared and then just want to leave. They don't want to be here anymore. This is what I feel when I see bunch of days back to back below the 20, below the 15. Means that the retailer, they are not they're just hurting right now. They're paper handing or they're just diamond handing because they have their bags and they don't want to sell it for a loss. Whatever situation retail is in, they are suffering. So this is why I say don't trust the fear and greed for you to trade in because you're going to be hurt and it's going to be sad for you. Now, looking at Bitopex, I already placed a trade for next week. So it is a full 7 days expiration and I sold a 1500 put, meaning that if Ethereum stays above 1500, I collect premium. And this one was actually very good premium wise because I collected 136 bucks. If we stay above that, above the 1500, 136 bucks will stay in my pocket. And right now we're at almost all-time highs here portfolio wise on the size that we had. because we have 3K in margin, and we have 3.3K in margin for this trade, and we're going to collect 136 bucks, which would bring us closer to 14K right here portfolio wise, which is a good step. You remember in the beginning of the year we started with 10K, 10 point something K, because we had a huge loss on October 10th, but then we kept building, and now we're back getting closer to all-time highs. And we started the year with 10K, so now we're closer to 14K, meaning that we're almost 40% returns on this portfolio year to date. Beginning from the beginning of the year to right now, we're almost 40%, which is ridiculous. So this is the power of options, all in stablecoins, by selling volatility from these assets, from Ethereum, from Bitcoin, from Solana, whatever. So very good, very good. I'm having a lot of fun with this. That being said, before we end, copy trading isn't doing that good, mostly because of this huge movement that we had a couple of days ago. So the Bitcoin option strategy is down 0.9%, so less than 1%, and the altcoin is down 1.8%. And we actually recovered a little bit because we dipped below to the 16%, and now we're back at the 17%. So the total P&L for this one that started last year is 16.7%, and for the Bitcoin option strategy, the total P&L is 122%. And this one is since 2024. So if you remember, when I made videos about the Bitcoin option strategy being launched, and since then, if you invested it, you more than doubled your money. Bitopex. So this is very, very interesting. If you haven't seen, you can go back. The history right here is all on the channel, so you can go back, watch the videos since 2024, and when we launched this. I think we launched this in it said right here, May 2024. When we launched this, we had another strategy called Phoenix then, but then Phoenix, we closed that strategy, and then we launched just the ZeroDTE, and then eventually the altcoin ZeroDTE, which came last October, and we've been running these two since. So the Bitcoin option strategy is the one that performs the best because it is more stable, but the alt ZeroDTE, it has more risk, but when it performs well, it outperforms the Bitcoin one. So let me know if you want more detailed information. We can make a video just about these vaults right here. But other than that, this is going to be the news for this this week. So if you have anything that you want to see specifically on the option side, especially right now in this boring market, let me know. Otherwise, we can keep doing these like news, reports, my trades, etc. So yeah, hopefully you have an amazing week. Hopefully your week was really fantastic, and the next one will be even better. As always, I'll see you guys right here next week. In the meantime, take care. I'll see you then. Peace.